Tyler's classmates and the neighborhood are very shocked that Tyler would be first and foremost involved in this at all. If like, they're not saying he couldn't have been involved, but rather that there's no way he could have acted alone, that this had to be a part of some wider plot, okay?
What's going on, everyone? So we need to talk about the Charlie Kirk case again, because there's been some major developments that I need to break down for you. And honestly, the more information that comes out, the more questions I have. Now, I know a lot of you have been following this story since September 10th, when Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at Utah Valley University. It's been weeks now, and the narrative we were fed from the beginning just keeps falling apart piece by piece. Drop a comment below and let me know, do you believe the official story? Because I'm seeing more and more people in the comment section saying something doesn't add up. Here's where we're at now. Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old they arrested within 33 hours, has finally broken his silence in court. And what he said is absolutely jaw-dropping. He's apologizing, he's exposing the people he was protecting, and he's revealing details about who was really behind Charlie's death. This is huge, you guys. Candace Owens, who worked directly with Charlie at Turning Point USA, has been all over this from day one, saying Tyler might be innocent, or at minimum, he didn't act alone. And the more we dig into this, the more we're seeing she might be right. I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you been following the developments? What's your opinion? Make sure you share this video, because mainstream media is not covering these inconsistencies. They want this story to go away, but we're not letting that happen. So let's break down everything we know so far, all the evidence that doesn't make sense, and why this case is far from closed. Let's get into it. Let me paint the picture for you. September 10th, 2025. Charlie Kirk, only 31 years old and already one of the most recognizable faces in conservative politics, was at Utah Valley University for his Prove Me Wrong campus tour. This was Charlie's thing, right? He'd go to college campuses, set up a table, and debate students about conservative politics. Thousands of students were there in person, and millions more would eventually watch what happened next. 11:23 p.m., a single bullet struck Charlie in the neck. In front of all those witnesses, in front of all those cameras, Charlie Kirk's life ended in an instant. The footage spread like wildfire across social media. It was graphic, it was shocking, and it sent shockwaves through the entire political world. Within 33 hours, the authorities had their man. Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old, surrendered to police along with his parents and a family friend. The case seemed pretty straightforward, at least on the surface. Prosecutors came out swinging with what they called overwhelming evidence. They had DNA consistent with Robinson on the rifle trigger. They had confessional text messages to his roommate. They even had a handwritten note where Tyler allegedly wrote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm gonna take it." Open and shut case, right? That's what they wanted us to think. But here's where things start to get really interesting, and where those of us who actually pay attention started asking questions. As more details came out, people started noticing things that just didn't add up. And I'm not talking about conspiracy theorists in their basements. I'm talking about ballistics experts, conservative commentators like Candace Owens, who knew Charlie personally, and even everyday people who looked at the evidence and said, wait a minute, something's not right here. Let me walk you through the official timeline first, and then I'll show you where it completely falls apart. According to court documents, surveillance footage shows Tyler Robinson arriving at the UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at 8:29 a.m. He's wearing a maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, and a black hat. The footage allegedly shows him walking with a weird gait, like he's hiding something in his pants. Spoiler alert, they claim he was hiding a rifle. At 12:15 p.m., the footage shows him crossing a railing and dropping onto a rooftop. 8 minutes later, at 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was dead. Now here's where the red flags start popping up everywhere. First up, the ballistics evidence. Experts looked at the wound and said, hold on, this doesn't match what we'd expect from a .306 rifle fired from that distance. And here's the kicker, there was reportedly no exit wound. Let me explain why that's huge. A .306 is a high velocity rifle. When these rounds hit someone at close to medium range, they create devastating exit wounds. It's basic ballistics, so where's the exit wound? Ballistics experts are literally scratching their heads over this one. Trumpedentious is, then we've got these text messages that supposedly sealed Tyler's fate. Candace Owens has been all over this, calling them out as scripted and federally written. And you know what? When you read them, they do sound weird. They're missing crucial timestamps and context. It's like someone sat down and wrote a script for what an incriminating text conversation should look like, rather than how people actually text. Candace didn't mince words about it either. She straight up said, these messages are clearly doctored. And she's been asking why authorities would do that. Are they trying to protect Tyler? Are they hiding something? It doesn't add up. Trumpet inches, but wait, it gets even crazier. Remember how Tyler supposedly just committed one of the most high-profile assassinations in recent American history? Well, at 6:38 p.m., on the day of the shooting, about 15 minutes away from campus, Tyler Robinson was photographed at a Dairy Queen. Not hiding, not fleeing the state, not panicking, calmly ordering food. Let that sink in for a second. This guy allegedly just shot and killed Charlie Kirk in front of thousands of people, and he's at Dairy Queen getting a blizzard? Come on. And here's what's really wild about that photo. He's wearing a combination of both outfits he supposedly wore that day. The maroon shirt from the morning and jeans from the shooting. That contradicts the whole narrative that he completely changed clothes to avoid detection. As one observer put it, you must have quite the stomach. You don't have a record, you shoot someone, and you're just gonna go have a meal? You don't seem too shaken or upset. Exactly. Trans body. Here's another detail that jumped out at investigators. The language in the alleged text messages. In one message, Tyler supposedly wrote about changing outfits. Multiple analysts have pointed out that men don't typically say outfits. That's language women use. Men say they change clothes. It's a small detail, but it's significant. It raises the question who actually wrote these texts, and it gets weirder. When describing police presence near where he allegedly hid the weapon, Tyler uses the term squad car. That's law enforcement terminology. Civilians typically say police car or cop car. So why is Tyler talking like a cop? From the very beginning, federal agencies swooped in and took control of this case. Local authorities were basically pushed aside. Now ask yourself, why would federal agencies need to take over what appeared to be a straightforward local crime? What aren't they telling us? Multiple local sources reported that any footage they had was immediately collected by federal authorities, and they were warned not to share it publicly. This comprehensive evidence sweep has made it impossible for independent investigators to analyze what actually happened. We're forced to rely on whatever the feds decide to release. And that, my friends, is a major problem. According to the official story, Tyler's parents saw their son in surveillance photos and convinced him to turn himself in. But here's the thing, Tyler reportedly maintained his innocence and claimed he had never even been to the UVU campus. So why would he surrender if he wasn't there? And here's supported for class convinced the official narrative describes a killer sophisticated enough to access a secured rooftop, position himself perfectly for a long-range shot, and execute the assassination with military precision. But this same criminal mastermind allegedly left behind DNA on the weapon, detailed confessional text messages, and a handwritten note explicitly stating his intentions? That's not how professionals operate. That's how someone who's being set up operates. To understand who might have wanted Charlie Kirk dead, we need to talk about what was happening in his life in the months before his assassination. And trust me, what I'm about to tell you shows that Tyler Robinson had nothing to do with the real motives behind this killing. Charlie Kirk was under intense pressure from multiple directions, and none of it had anything to do with some random 22-year-old. In the weeks before his death, Charlie had been in an increasingly public battle with some of his biggest donors and supporters. The conflict was about his evolving views on Israel and his willingness to platform controversial figures like Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith at Turning Point USA events. It all came to a head at what attendees described as an intervention at a Hamptons retreat hosted by billionaire Bill Ackman in early August 2025. Charlie was reportedly pressured by major donors to change his positions on Israel and to distance himself from certain speakers. Sources who were there said Charlie felt like he was being blackmailed. They were offering him substantial funding, but only if he towed the line on pro-Israel talking points. The timing here is crucial. Bill Ackman confirmed that this retreat happened on August 4th and 5th. On August 6th, literally the next day, Charlie appeared on Megyn Kelly's show, and he was clearly agitated and frustrated. You could see it all over his face. He talked openly about the pressure he was facing from pro-Israel advocates who would immediately call him anti-Semitic for any criticism, despite his extensive support for Israel and the fact that he was literally studying Hebrew. Robert Shillman, a major donor, reportedly cut off his support for Charlie just days before the assassination. That's a huge blow to any organization's funding. And it wasn't an isolated incident. Multiple sources inside Turning Point USA reported that Charlie had expressed serious concerns about the organization's finances in the week leading up to his death. You get this. Turning Point employees have been reaching out to Candace Owens, and what they're telling her is concerning. They're talking about changes at the organization in the months leading up to that Hamptons event and what had been happening more broadly at the company over the last year. Charlie had planned to conduct a comprehensive financial audit of Turning Point USA. That audit, which was scheduled to begin shortly after his death, could have exposed irregularities in how donor funds were being managed. Think about that. If someone was misappropriating funds or using the organization for purposes beyond its stated mission, that audit would be a massive threat. Transparency here's something that's going to sound wild, but I'm dead serious about this. 2 weeks before Charlie was assassinated, the far-left website Jezebel declared a mission to cast a curse on him. They literally hired practitioners on Etsy to perform hexes against Charlie. You might think that's just internet trolling, but the psychological impact on Charlie and his wife Erica was significant enough that they consulted with a Catholic priest for spiritual protection. When you combine the financial pressure, the donor revolt, the internal organizational conflicts, and what can only be described as spiritual warfare, Charlie Kirk was a man under siege from multiple directions in the final weeks of his life. As the investigation progressed, a disturbing pattern emerged: evidence suppression, witness intimidation, and narrative control. What started as questions about Tyler Robinson's guilt has evolved into something much bigger. Are we witnessing one of the most sophisticated cover-ups in recent American history? Here's the most glaring issue: there's no video evidence of Tyler Robinson actually firing the weapon. Zero. Despite heavy surveillance at the event and multiple camera angles, no footage exists showing Tyler taking aim or pulling the trigger. That's convenient, isn't it? Every other aspect of the alleged timeline has been documented through surveillance footage, but not the actual shooting. Even more damning, the individual who filmed the only footage of someone on the rooftop has said he doesn't think Tyler Robinson is the guy. This eyewitness, who has experience with firearms and teaches gun safety, stated definitively that the person he saw was wearing tactical gear, not the casual clothing Tyler was allegedly wearing. Furthermore, the weapon he observed doesn't match the rifle supposedly used by Tyler. The ballistics mystery. The ballistics evidence is perhaps the biggest challenge to the official narrative. That lack of an exit wound from a high-velocity .306 round has led investigators to propose alternative theories. Some suggest the fatal shot may have come from an underground tunnel or maintenance area behind the stage, not from the rooftop position Tyler supposedly occupied. And here's another bombshell: sources close to the investigation have revealed that authorities don't actually know how the rifle got onto the rooftop. The bullet was too fragmented to definitively match Tyler's weapon. These are fundamental gaps in evidence that would normally prevent prosecutors from moving forward. Yet they charged Tyler anyway. Trompidindi, the crime scene handling, has also raised serious red flags. Witnesses reported that the area was quickly renovated and cleaned, with drop cloths and other potential evidence removed before a thorough forensic examination could be completed. This rapid cleanup is highly unusual for a crime scene of this magnitude. It suggests someone wanted to eliminate evidence that might contradict the official story. Trompidindi, perhaps most concerning, is what's happening right now. Sources within Utah law enforcement report that the FBI is actively pressuring state authorities to declare the case solved and stop any further investigation. Why the urgency? Why are they so desperate to wrap this up quickly? That's not normal procedure for such a high-profile case. It suggests certain parties are eager to prevent further scrutiny. Trompidindi pranavitstari. So what really happened? Local sources in Utah have proposed a theory that actually makes sense when you look at all the evidence. They believe Tyler Robinson was instructed to simply drop off his rifle at a predetermined location. He was an unwitting participant in a larger scheme. The actual shooter was a professional who used vacant university-owned property near where the weapon was found as a safe house. This theory explains so many things that don't make sense in the official story around how Tyler could appear so calm at Dairy Queen hours after allegedly committing murder, why the ballistics don't match the alleged weapon, how such a sophisticated operation could be planned and executed by a 22-year-old with no military or intelligence training, why Tyler maintained his innocence and said he'd never been to the campus. Tyler's roommate, another puzzle piece. We also need to talk about Lance Twiggs, Tyler's roommate. Lance's family members have expressed skepticism about the official narrative. They've suggested he may have been compromised or threatened. They describe unusual behavior and possible substance abuse issues that could have made him vulnerable to manipulation. According to reports, Lance went to live with relatives and is no longer in the house with his mother and father. Allegedly, his parents kicked him out junior year of high school because he had issues. This paints a picture of someone who might have been easy to manipulate or coerce. We're allegedly being dagalo and bodig under your stride. War alaman The immediate effort to control the narrative and discredit anyone questioning the official story suggests a coordinated campaign that was prepared well in advance. That kind of speed and coordination indicates planning that goes way beyond what you'd expect for a random act of violence. The systematic effort to discredit investigators and witnesses who've raised questions has been particularly aggressive. Legal threats, character assassination, and financial pressure have been deployed with remarkable speed. This response pattern is more consistent with protecting a carefully constructed cover story than simply defending the truth. what this all means. The assassination of Charlie Kirk represents more than just the murder of a political activist. It appears to be a sophisticated operation designed to send a message to anyone who might challenge certain powerful interests within the American political system. The speed and efficiency of the cover-up suggests resources and coordination that go far beyond what any single individual or organization could achieve. As more evidence emerges and more witnesses come forward, the official narrative becomes increasingly impossible to believe. The question is no longer whether Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. The real question is, will the American people demand a real investigation into who actually orchestrated this assassination and why they felt the need to eliminate one of the conservative movement's most prominent voices? Tyler Robinson appears to have been selected as the perfect patsy, young, isolated, and vulnerable to manipulation or coercion. The truth about September 10th, 2025 may ultimately reveal uncomfortable realities about power, corruption, and control in contemporary America. You know what? I'm going to echo what Trevor Miller wrote. Something is wrong. It's time to unify as a country and fix this. And I'm not just talking about the right. I'm calling on the left and the right to come together and demand answers about what happened on September 10th. This isn't about politics anymore. This is about truth, justice, and holding powerful people accountable. Until we have that truth, Charlie Kirk's death will stand as a stark reminder of what happens to those who dare to challenge the wrong people at the wrong time. And that should terrify all of us, regardless of where we fall on the political spectrum. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you found this information valuable, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this case. Click on one of the videos on your screen to watch more content like this. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and never stop asking questions.